Hello, welcome back to my channel. For those that are new here, welcome. To all who are my new subscribers, thank you for joining me on my journey. Today, I want to talk about Married to Medicine. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, so let's get into it. Yes, I want to talk about Married to Medicine because it picks up the next day, the next morning, and you see Quad and King in their room and they're talking about, the activities from the night before. So King asked Quad, "Did you have any nightmares about last night?" And her thing was no. They started talking about how Dr. Gregory might have been spazzing out. Quad is acting like she doesn't know what went wrong with him. She described his actions as ape boo boo crazy to see, and maybe it was hard for Dr. Gregory to see her with a new man, a younger man, a handsome man. And, she said, but that's what they get. They chose, which is the truth, they chose to be a part of her friend group. Those are her friends. And I think that was to throw in Quad's face. Well, last season, of course, everybody, if you've been, keeping up, he brought her to the show, Sweet Tea, that is, married her on the show. Quad had a friend, but she just didn't disclose them clearly because they've been dating for a year. So now that she has her friend, I don't think Dr. G can take it. Anywho, so they punt over to Dr. G. He's apologizing to Sweet Tea about how he acted last night. He got angry. Um, he was trying to protect her, and didn't want her to go back and forth with Quad. He knew that Quad was tipsy, drunk. He knows her. Sweet Tea said, "I don't know her," but she isn't the type to just sit still and let somebody come at her and not say nothing. So Dr. G said, "Well, this is one of those age gap things." He said, "I'm expecting for you to be." I don't know. I guess he was trying to imply expecting her to be more mature about the situation and not chime in or not even go back and forth. And Sweet Tea is like, "I'm not that type. Somebody's coming for me. I'm going to go back." And I'm paraphrasing, but basically, her thing is she's not one to eat, you know, whatever it is she's supposed to eat. And she just goes back, with her ammunition or whatever. Quad says, he came across like he was kind of jealous and that, the Sweet Tea is pretty much just a seat filler because he misses her or something to that effect. She said something to that. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know about all that, but I do feel, my personal opinion, that Dr. G might have felt a little something, I guess, right? So the next segment is Toya, Dr. Jean, Dr. Mimi, and her husband Steve. And they cook up in the morning. I guess they're going to get breakfast or whatever. I'm assuming it's breakfast. It could be lunch. I don't know because they're drinking. So maybe it's lunch, right? Because they're ordering margaritas. And Toya basically says, "Use Patron in mine." And they were like, "Patron?" She said, "Yeah, it has no additives or preservatives." She said, "If it has additives or preservatives, I get angry." And he said, "What does angry Toya look like?" And they did this montage of her laying Dr. Eugene out in almost every scene, the activities of last night. And they were saying that Toya was the one that started that. Dr. Mimi was like, if me coming in new to the group, and I'm looking at you, and I'm like, "Did Toya really do that?" And she said, "Well, what did I do?" She was playing all innocent. And they were like, "You kind of like lit the match on all that stuff." And she was like, "No, I didn't." She said, "I didn't do nothing but say stuff what other people were thinking." And she said, I can admit that I might have had a candle. And then Steve was like, yeah, and then you knocked that candle over. She said, but somebody lit the flame. He said, and poured gasoline on it. She was like, no, that wasn't me on it. Now, Toya may have been a little instigator in that whole thing and kind of like triggered Quad and even saying stuff. Well, not even triggering Quad, because Quad was saying stuff. That's why Toya was like, you're making me uncomfortable. Like, and she says she said she, likes the relationship between her and King. She said, but it's awkward because Dr. G is sitting right behind you. Now, I guess Toya might have been feeling a little something too, because why would you come out and say that? Like, I don't know. Anywho, I honestly feel like Quad was drunk. To her defense, she was drunk and, probably said some things that she probably could have kept to herself more if she wasn't drunk. You know what I mean? And, however many times they have sex during the week is none of your business, Quad. She talking about y'all need to have more than that since y'all trying to have a baby, blah, blah, blah. Then she talking about she's going to throw them a baby shower. She was saying all kinds of stuff. And then she made a comment saying, yeah, I think she's the perfect fit for him. And that's when Dr. G said, nobody cares what you think. Because he wasn't feeling it. And Quad was poking. Maybe she didn't think she was poking, but she was. They didn't care. Dr. G at this moment in time does not care what Quad thinks. Like Quad said, these are her group of friends. Y'all chose to be a part of this group of friends. Y'all chose to come on her platform. This is her place of work. They did. So I can't knock what Quad said. So you don't want to be here, leave. She was there. That was her group of friends. This is when she was coming. Now, I guess Dr. G was hoping that the girls would stay mad at Quad. That's why he brought Sweet Tea on. And that Quad would go on by her merry way. And then they would be on the show. But Quad was very strategic. She made sure she did her apology tour last reunion. And she made sure she got in good with the girls again. She got Dr. Heavenly's ear. Dr. Heavenly worked on, getting Quad back on, working her back into her different relationships. Everybody has apologized. And now Sweet Tea has to see where she fits in. Dr. Heavenly, my girl. I like Dr. Heavenly. She got some stuff with her. She's another one that will light the flame and walk away and let everybody else put it out. But she has invited Apollo. Her reasoning for inviting Apollo is to show Dr. G how he's supposed to treat an ex and be amicable with your ex, regardless of what the new dynamic is. Apollo is married. He has a wife. Phaedra is not. So in Dr. G's situation, he is now married. Quad is not. But I don't think they anticipated for Quad to have a man this season. Anywho, long story short, then there was a couple other things going on in this episode. So Apollo was invited. Dr. Heavenly talked to him, wanted to make sure, I guess he was still coming. She's like, she opened up the invitation to his wife. He said that his wife wasn't coming. But I guess at the last minute, she changed her mind and she said she was coming. So then she was there too. And I don't know if Phaedra seems to care about the wife, but Phaedra made a point to say, this is the woman that Apollo was cheating on me with while we were still married. Well, I guess he started dealing with her, must have been starting to deal with her before he went away to jail, because it seemed like, or maybe she found out while he was in jail that he was cheating on her with this lady. And that's why she left him in there and really wasn't worried about going to see him, because of whatever dynamic or whatever was going on between her and Apollo before he went in there. Because there was a lot of stuff going on that maybe she didn't disclose on Real Housewives of Atlanta, that we weren't privy to. So obviously he was dealing with this lady before he went into jail. That's who supported him while he was in jail. When he got out, that's who he was with. Okay. So Phaedra made it a point to tell us that Apollo was cheating on her with this woman, and then he wound up marrying her. So of course there's no love lost there. This is who, I don't know if she attributes her to breaking up the marriage, but she was part of the equation. I guess she can't fault the woman, fault Apollo. There was a couple of things going on this episode. And I'm just going to get away from the whole dynamic of this scene. Okay. I don't even want to do that anymore. I want to get to where the excitement happened, because when they went to the beach, they kind of split up. It was the ladies and the men, right? And before they went to the Sandbar. That's what they call it. They went to the Sandbar. They took a boat over there. Apollo was on the boat talking about how he felt some way about Phaedra being with Sheck. Even, I can't remember Apollo's wife's name. Shireen. She even made a comment about Phaedra being with Sheck. And she was like, we all know Sheck. He said, everybody in Atlanta knows Sheck or Shrek. What is his name? Sheck. I'm going to call him Shrek. Because, whatever. Anyway. But Phaedra is not looking to be serious with him. She was just hanging out with him. And according to Shireen, everybody hangs out with him in Atlanta, right? So I guess he's just a playboy. And he knows Apollo, for one, from the club atmosphere. And two, evidently, he goes over there. He knows the family. He knows Shireen's family. And he's always around on holidays, Thanksgiving, whatever. They know him. So Apollo was making it known that he wasn't really in favor of Phaedra hanging out with him. And I'm with Phaedra. Like, why are you concerned about who I'm hanging out with? He really had a problem with Phaedra hanging out with this young man. And I don't understand that. Because I don't think that him and Phaedra have any interactions or anything going on. And he was feeling some way. And so Phaedra even made a comment, said, why are you concerned about who I'm hanging out with? And Shireen jumped up and said about, he ain't worried about you. Well, clearly he is. Else it wouldn't be a problem. He wouldn't have said nothing, Shireen. If it was just his homeboy, it was like he was breaking boy code or man code or whatever the code is on that side. Like, you don't do that. Like, that's my ex-wife. Like, what are you doing? But if it didn't matter, and like Phaedra said, they have been divorced for 7 years. What is the issue? And I'm sure she's had other men, but I guess if you don't know him, it's okay. But because if you know him, it's a difference. Like, if anything, he should have had an issue with Sheck, not Phaedra, because Sheck was his boy. Phaedra don't owe him nothing no more, right? So, and then Shecky was even saying, man, I don't have to tell you everything I do. He even said that. I ain't got to tell you everything I do. What is it to you? And it was some little tension there. Dr. G and King. Now, y'all remember what happened the night before. Quad and him talked about it. And it seemed like when the guys got together, it seemed like they were trying to be amicable about being in the same spot, right? Usually men can go past that. And King even said, I don't have nothing against you. I understand you all have a history. Y'all have a past, blah, 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 blah. He was basically letting them know, I understand that there's some hurt there, some trauma there. And I felt like he was saying that he really didn't, wasn't going to try to get in the middle of that. But then Dr. G made a comment about how, Quad talks too much. And that's why I told her to shut the F up and blah, 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 blah. And so King was like, so you were saying that to her? And he said, yeah, because she talks to you effing much. I think Dr. G misread the room or the Sandbar and thought that it was okay because that is this man's woman now. Okay, so his thing is he's going to show up for his woman, and you're not going to be able to say what you want to say because you have history with her because she's no longer associated with or attached to you. So you don't have that right. And I guess that's where King was going. Like, okay, well, I didn't know that you were saying it to her that was disrespectful. He said, I think you owe her an apology. So Dr. G said, well, I think there's an apology owed on both sides. Well, I'm not particularly disagreeing with Dr. G either because, again, Qua was drunk. She said some things probably that she probably shouldn't have said. There were some things, according to Dr. Heavenly, that we weren't privy to her saying because it seemed like she aired it all out, but they didn't give that to us. They didn't record all that or they cut it out. So we don't know all the other things that were said. She probably should have apologized. She probably should apologize on that front. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know what she actually said. But according to Dr. Heavenly, she said some things that there was a reason why they cut it out, right? So I think like Dr. G, there might have been some apologies due on both sides. Now he didn't say no, he wasn't going to apologize. Only thing I think I heard him say was there were some apologies owed on both sides. Here's where I think King might have been in the wrong. Now I agree that he's supposed to show up for his woman, but there's a certain degree that you need to stay out of it. Like you don't want her to be, him to bring harm to her. You don't want him to disrespect her. But if he didn't want to apologize because he felt like he was owed an apology too, you can't make the man apologize. You can say you think that's what you should do. You can recommend it. You can suggest it. But you can't make nobody do nothing. When he stepped to Dr. G again, like he didn't need to step to him again because of the other stuff that was going on. He felt like this was a great opportune time for him to pull Dr. G aside without him having to be in front of his boys so he could show off. But I don't even think that was even a necessary conversation. You said what you needed to say the first time. So, of course, Dr. G wasn't trying to see. I guess it looked as though maybe in Dr. G's eyes that you were stepping to him. To me, he was still in front of the boys. To me, he was still in front of the camera. That's even worse. If it was off camera, you might have got a different response, King. But you were still in front of the camera. So Dr. G still had to show up and show out. And that's what he did. One thing led to another. You see them running towards each other, and we don't see that part. And I'm sure we're not going to see them tussle or whatever. I think they cut that out on purpose. Anyway, as we all know now, as of today, that Dr. G filed charges. Dr. G filed charges, and I think King maybe was sentenced to 90 days. Hopefully he'll appeal it. Once they see the footages, shout out to the footages, they'll see that it was a reality show. Maybe he won't have to serve any time. Maybe it'll be all squashed away. He'll just be on probation or what have you. But yes. But I think Dr. G, I think King, what I can understand, has been banned from filming. Y'all played right into his hands. So now Quad will be on the show by herself. And she won't have that support. So Dr. G won after all. Or maybe he'll sit out the rest of this season. Well, no, wait a minute. Back up, because I want to say that King did come to the reunion with her. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. And then on this same episode, Sweet Tea and Heavenly was getting into it. And Sweet Tea was wrong, again, stepping in where she don't need to step in. But her thing is, what was the purpose of you inviting Apollo and his wife? Like, why would you do that? And Sweet Tea, you ain't got nothing to do with that. You don't see it for Dr. Heavenly. So anything that she does, you gonna go at her neck. And Dr. Heavenly, she tried to stand up. She was in the water. She tried to stand. She fell back down. But she was like, y'all get this little girl. Y'all get this little girl. Y'all get this little girl. Because she was calling Dr. Heavenly BITCHs and everything. And I was like, oh my God. So someone had brought her over there to Phaedra because Phaedra was, she's Phaedra's friend. Or at least Phaedra has befriended her. And she was trying to talk to her, say, you come over here, you come over here with us. Anyway, when she saw Dr.G and King get into it, Sweet Tea said, hell no. And she broke away from Phaedra and started running. She got all this jumping. She was running, Quad was running, everybody was running like, oh no, 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 no. And that's how it went off, y'all. I like Married to Medicine. I like Dr. Heavenly. She got some stuff with her, but I like her. She's funny. I think she's funny. I think she calls herself producing, and she don't do too bad with it, but it's messy. And we like a little bit of messiness, but not to the point where, people get hurt, people fight. I think when you get a certain age, I think when you get a certain age, you should use your words. That's all. That's where I'm at. When you get a certain age, use your words. I'm not going to sit here and fight you. I'm not going to, put no marks on my face. I don't want no marks on your face. Use your words. I don't care how angry you get with me. I don't care how wrong I am. If anything, walk away. I can do it. You can do it. Walk away or use your words. That's where I'm at. I'm not going to go into a long song and dance about this episode. That's the part that I like. That's the part that seemed to grasp everybody's attention. Now we got to wait till next week to see how it all works itself out. With that being said, please like, share, and subscribe. And with that being said, be blessed. Peace.